exports from Nigeria to Europe has increased to 730,000 barrels per day, despite the shortage of its supply to local refineries, Nnpc Limited reveals. Welcome to the news and thank you for tuning in to listen. Please subscribe to our channel to get notified when we post hot juicy news update. Please click on the notification bell. On Thursday, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) revealed that Nigeria's crude oil flow to Europe had increased in a bid to fill supply gaps left by the ban on Russian crude. This is just as the Crude Oil Refinery Owner Association of Nigeria told The Punch that the federal government had begun the move to increase supply to local refineries. The Executive Director, Crude and Condensate, NNPC Trading Limited, Mariamu Idris, disclosed this during a presentation at the August European Crude Conference in London, according to a statement issued by the oil firm in Abuja. She pointed out that 6 months before the Russia-Ukraine war, 678,000 barrels per day of Nigerian crude grades went to Europe compared to 710,000 barrels per day 6 months later and 730,000 barrels per day so far this year. This trend makes it evident that Nigerian grades are increasingly becoming a significant component in the post-war palette of European refiners. Several Nigerian distillate-rich grades have become a steady preference for many European refiners, given the absence of Russian Urals and diesel. Focado's blend, Escravos Light, Bonga and Egina appear to be the most popular, and our latest addition, Nembe Crude, fit well into this basket. This was a strong factor behind our choice of London and the August European Crude Conference as the most ideal launch hub for the grades, Idris stated. Her revelation came just about 1 week after The Punch reported that local refineries were starved of crude oil, although about 5 of them were ready to start producing refined petroleum products. On November 2nd, 2023, The Punch exclusively reported that the failure to supply crude oil to domestic refineries, including the multi-billion-dollar Dangote refinery, has stalled the production of refined petroleum products at the facilities. The report also stated that the 650,000 barrels per day Dangote refinery in Lagos missed the October production projection it had earlier set. The October production target miss made it the second time in 2023 that Dangote refinery will raise hopes of Africa, especially Nigeria, of a possible end to petrol importation. However, the failure to begin production means that Nigeria will continue to rely on fuel importation. But in a swift reaction, the NNPCL announced the same day that it will provide 6 billion barrels of crude oil to Dangote refinery in December 2023. Similarly, the federal government met with operators of domestic refineries last week Wednesday in a bid to address concerns about the unavailability of crude oil for indigenous refiners. At the meeting, the government specifically stated that it is going to be a matter of national shame if we cannot meet our domestic crude obligation to step up our refining capacity, stressing that the 650,000 barrels per day Dangote refinery was ready and should be provided with crude. Benga Komolafe, the chief executive of the Nigerian Austrian Petroleum Regulatory Commission, an agency of the federal government, had disclosed this in Abuja during the meeting with operators of domestic refineries. Good enough to have the largest refinery in Africa, that is the Dangote refinery. It is ready to commence operations. We have received the request from the refinery to guarantee feedstock to the 650,000 barrels refinery, and we believe that as a nation it will be a shame if we cannot make the feedstock of the refinery, Komolafe stated. Local refineries react. Reacting to the rise in crude oil exports in Europe amid shortage for domestic refineries, the Secretary Crude Oil Refinery Owners Association of Nigeria, Olusegun Ilori, said Coran was optimistic that the government will provide crude for modular refineries. Coran is a registered association of modular and conventional refinery companies in Nigeria. Modular refineries are simplified refineries that require significantly less capital investment than traditional full-scale refineries. The government has set some guidelines geared towards increasing crude oil supply to local refineries. So far, these guidelines are followed. We have no issue. We hope the oil producing companies comply with it as regards crude supply obligation to local refineries, he stated. Supply to India drops. Meanwhile, Idris stated that the export of crude oil from Nigeria to India had crashed as analysis of figures released by the Nnpcl official showed it dropped by about 52%. Nnpc attributed the crash in oil export to India to the lingering conflict between Russia and Ukraine, which impacted Nigerian crude inflows in the international market. This, it said, led to a dip in demand from the once dependable Asian market at the onset of hostilities in the Eastern Bloc. Idris explained that in addition to the substantial price shocks impacting commodity and energy prices globally, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine triggered a situation where India, a primary destination for Nigerian grades, increased its appetite for discounted Russian barrels to the detriment of some Nigerian volumes. To illustrate the extent of this shift, Nigeria's crude oil exports to India dwindled from approximately 250,000 barrels per day in the 6 months preceding the February 2022 invasion of Ukraine to 194,000 barrels per day in the subsequent 6 months afterwards. And so far this year, only around 120,000 barrels per day of Nigerian crude volumes have made their way to India, she said. The drop in oil export to India from 250,000 barrels per day to 120,000 barrels per day represents a reduction of 52% in the volumes of crude shipped from Nigeria to the Asian nation. On production challenges, she stated that like many other oil-producing countries, Nigeria has faced production challenges aggravated by the COVID-19 pandemic, including reduced investment in the upstream sector, supply chain disruptions impacting upstream operations, aging oil fields, and oil theft by unscrupulous elements. These factors, she said, contributed to the production declines in the second half of 2022 and early 2023. Idris, however, noted that the challenges were fast becoming a thing of the past with the introduction and implementation of a new framework for the domestic petroleum industry. She said the